Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest EP from Napoleon, Dear God, out May 31st. It has 4 tracks, 11 minutes in length, and it's the band's second. They are a Canadian alternative metal band. Now, I use the term alternative really loosely because this is one of those bands very difficult to define under one single genre, under one single umbrella. They have a lot of different influences in their sound. Punk, rock, grunge, metal, post-hardcore. There's a little bit of everything under the sun. And that's what gives them their own sense of uniqueness, their own fingerprint, which is not having a super structured, defined, boxed in sound experience. A little bit all over the place, but with a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity, perhaps coming from their own youthful nature, because they're a young band from Toronto, Canada, and I think that is well represented in their sound and what they're trying to create and the niche that they're trying to carve for themselves. I discovered them with one of the songs on this EP. I was hooked. I wanted to listen to more. I wanted to see what they had as far as that diversity of sound. I wanted to see what they had as far as composition, song structures, and that's the main reason I decided to listen to Dear God, their latest EP. And it's an EP that really showcases their talent, but it also showcases how they can take different approaches depending on what the song calls for and depending on where they're trying to go with it. There's a little bit of everything under the sun across these 4 tracks. 4 tracks that start off with Lord and Saviour. I think Lord and Saviour with Help Me, which is the closing one, are 2 of the more complete songs on this EP, are 2 that have a defined idea of beginning, middle, and end. They have a nice structure, they have a nice design, a nice composition, and they feel very mature. Perhaps, like I said, the 2 most mature songs that this EP will offer to you. This one is very melodic, but still intense. Now, the intensity sometimes comes from the sound, but more often than not, it comes from the vocals. It has that alternative experience to it, but also a little bit of a post-hardcore delivery, especially coming out of the vocals. The chorus is what sells you on this song. It's super hooky, super catchy. It stands out. It's the climax that you're driving towards from the verses into that chorus. You can't wait to get there, and once you're there, you don't want to leave it. It's a great track from that perspective. The flow between the parts is very seamless, and then once you get into that chorus, the way it jumps out, the way it stands out, definitely allows this song to have a sense of being complete, a sense of having all the right pieces in the right place. Next you have If I Go. Now this is a different song because it feels a little bit more narrow. It's not as complete or is not as wide as Lord and Saviour. It's definitely a more narrow feeling guitar driven song. It still has great sound, it still has a great tone coming out of the guitars, and it's very driven from start to finish, but it also feels a little bit more narrow. Like I said, the vocals in the verses also help feel or create that feeling of narrowness that the song has. It feels more aggressive in the chorus. It's definitely, you see the escalation, specifically vocally, when it gets into that chorus. It has a nice fluidity. It flows really well from one element to the other, with a little bit of a punk vibe in the sound and in the vocals. Is a song that has its moments, that has its fluidity, that has that forward experience, but the fact that it feels really narrow, it limits the song and it limits how much impact the track can have. I feel that because of how narrow the song is sound-wise and even vocally, it takes a little bit away from the impact that the song could have otherwise. Definitely not as strong as Lord and Saviour. Next you have Heartless, super aggressive track, both vocally and musically from the get-go. It has this mosh pit sound experience to it, and that to me is something that really elevates the track and allows the song to stand out. When it gets into the chorus, while the chorus hits you and it's memorable, there's a built-in melancholy in the chorus that I thought was really interesting, because you're getting that kind of experience from the vocals, but the sound still has aggression behind it. So there's a little bit of this yin and yang in the chorus that allows the song to connect itself really well from verses to chorus back to verses, but it also creates a little bit of a divide, and that divide is what creates the ebbs and flows. And you see that those ebbs and flows better defined by the vocals on this track than any other element. It's a shifting of emotion as you go from one to the other, but all of that shifting is happening vocally, not necessarily musically. Last but definitely not least, Help Me. This is my favorite song on the EP. This is the track that I discovered the band with, and the darkness of this song is unique to this song. And you see that darkness in the sound, in the lyrical content, and even in the vocal performance. It's a song that's almost at parallel with Lord and Saviour. Like I said, the two of them are the most complete tracks on this record. I felt like this one takes it a step further because it brings a certain emotional baggage to all of the elements, vocals, lyrics, and sound, and that is something that makes it feel very unique, but it grounds the song and it allows the listener to connect with it deeper. You don't feel like you're just listening to another song. You feel like you're listening to something that runs a little bit more inside of you, that runs a little bit deeper, that has a more emotional connection to it, and it has great guitar sound. It has great heaviness. It's also the heavier song of the four, and it has a lot of intensity and aggression in the vocals as well. It's an absolute banger of the track, and it's the one that puts the exclamation mark on this release, on this EP. My favorite by far, because it feels them, not because it's heavy, but just because it feels really together, and the emotional side of the track is what sells me on the song itself. This is it, Napoleon with Dear God. This EP comes out May 31st. Let me know your thoughts on the band. Hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.